Hello everyone, Jamie here. We are getting started with our working remotely with Microsoft Teams. Now, a few weeks ago, what we touched upon was how BAASS had done work from home and the modern workplace for themselves, and how we summarized how we did staff working from multiple offices or from home or from anywhere being able to access any of our tools. We really summarized that into 5 major areas. We talked about hardware, the laptops and the hardware required for the mobile workforce, access to file shares, and access to communication tools, access into our line of business applications such as Sage and CRM and our ERPs, etc. And of course, the requirement of security in all of those areas. So after that session, what we did was, because there was so much in one, we separated out a 30-minute session on the line of business application hosting, which we do with our BAASS cloud, and where we use our Sage 300 and our Sage CRM, using our own cloud hosting, the same thing that we use in support for our customers. And then that was last week. This week is a 30-minute session dedicated to collaborative tools using Microsoft Teams. So we're going to take the next 30 minutes to focus on that and using these working remotely or in the modern workplace, using them from anywhere. If you have any questions throughout this session, please use the tools in the GoToWebinar. You can submit those. Remington the moderator will compile those, put them in the end. I have a series of common questions that I'm going to be answering at that time. I will try to put those in at that time as well and get to those at that point. So my name is Jamie Smith. I'm the presenter today. I am the president of Linetco. We are Linetco Computer Networks, Inc. We are the IT division of BAASS. We're an MSP performing IT support. We also are the IT division for BAASS, working out of the BAASS offices. We manage the BAASS cloud infrastructure for hosting of Sage 300. About 36 months ago, we had only a handful of customers, I would say, using Office 365 for email. Now over 90% of our customers use Office 365 for email. And at this point, just a few months ago, only 12% of our customers are using Microsoft Teams. Now that number has jumped over 18% over the last 8 weeks since the COVID-19 and the sudden rush for work from home. And while that is a trigger at this point, we really believe that the thought process of the work enablement, work from anywhere, the modern workforce, removal of on-premise servers, all of those things combined, we're going to see a larger number of companies now finally making that jump in adoption, just like they did for Office 365 for email. They're going to move to items for cloud collaboration, such as MS Teams, to move file shares, meetings, communication tools, etc. Now, several times here I've used the word Office 365, and as of April 21st or April of just 2020 of this last month, Microsoft has changed the name of Office 365 to Microsoft 365. So I'm going to try to catch myself and use the words Microsoft 365 for the rest of the presentation, but they're really interoperable. When somebody refers to Office 365, now the new name for it is Microsoft 365. So what we will do is we'll get on to it. What it is that we're here to actually talk about today is the modern workplace, the ability to work from anywhere, and Microsoft Teams. Microsoft, they have over 258 million paid customers in Office 365. Until March of this year, they had only 30 million people using Teams. Since March, and just to the end of April, that number has jumped to 75 million people are now using Microsoft Teams. Now that's just as April. It's been another 2 weeks. I haven't seen additionally published numbers, but for sure that number has gone up again. Teams, it's a collaboration communication application that's used to keep your team and your departments organized and working all in one place, and to be able to do that from anywhere. Today, I'm going to focus on the collaboration components, collaboration portion, which I will simplify as file storage and access to files, and using those to replace file servers on premise, and then the communication tools, so providing your team with easy and quick access to video, chat, meetings. So what we're used to, if we dive straight into the collaboration portion, we're used to, when working in an office, we've been given access to files in a traditional method using a file server and map network drives. We open up Windows Explorer, we see the map network drives, and below that are a subset of folders if we're given permission to them. So once we click on our map drive, we then have this series of folders and files that assumedly we've been given permission and access to, and this is how we manage our file folder access and structure within our company. With the files on the servers, we're expected that once we've opened them and edited them and saved them back to the server, that server is being backed up, and our IT maintains the server and the hardware and the software and the licensing and the business continuity and all the items that are required thereof. But being there in the office, we then have to figure out, well, if we're outside of the office, how do we get access into these resources and file shares? Do we give a VPN back to the office? Do we provide a different remote access tool to it? How do we simplify this so that, you know, when I'm out of the office and I need to access these files, and be it from anywhere, whether I'm outside of the office or I have multiple office locations, how do I centralize these file shares and accessibility for people so that everybody can work from anywhere? And, you know, this has truly been stretched out here with COVID-19, where we were suddenly faced with so many companies that truly didn't have a cloud-based collaboration tool and also didn't have work from home or work remote enabled. Suddenly they were forced to implement VPN, remote file access, etc. And they didn't have solutions in place and ad hocing it to do it, whether it's, you know, trying to get multiple people remoted in instantly via VPN and then realizing, hey, as you add more and more users to do that, our internet speeds at the office aren't adequate. So we need to know what it is that we can do and what tools we can use to allow that file access and collaboration from anywhere. Whether we're in the office, outside of the office, deciding to work from home, how do we standardize this? And this is where collaboration with Microsoft Teams comes into place. With Microsoft Teams, we create teams and channels for departments, and under them, we can create folders and subfolders for clients, vendors, more. This is how we would organize our folder structure. And this is also where we would save our files. So if we drill down into one of these departments and folder shares in Microsoft Teams, we're then able to see file access. We can create new files using the new button in the example here. And from that drop down, we can create folders or files. We can also drag and drop existing files from Windows Explorer into this application, into Microsoft Teams. And we can open a file from within Teams itself just by clicking on it. And in the example here, what I've done, opening that Excel sheet, once we have it open, any edits and changes that we do automatically save back to Microsoft Teams in the cloud. Everything is saved back there. And if I have it open, someone else can actually have it open at the same time, and in real time, we can collaborate and edit this file together, both of us making changes, all of it being saved in real time. And so using Microsoft Teams, we can move file shares and files off of servers and into Teams and Teams channels where we do it the same way, whether we call it a team or a department, etc. And we now have access to those files wherever we have a computer and wherever we have internet access. And not only do we have access to these file shares that are company-based, but here's an example as well. As we also have access from within Teams to our own personal files stored in this example in OneDrive. So here's an example of my OneDrive for Linetco, where within the Teams application, I can click on the files, cloud storage, OneDrive, and I see my file and folder list of my own OneDrive documents. And this is exactly the same as what I have on my local computer, where I have OneDrive installed on it. And this is actually a picture of my OneDrive on my computer in Windows Explorer, and these are the exact same folders and structure that I have in Microsoft Teams. So if I look at this view here and I go back to my Teams view, the folder structure is the exact same. And by saving everything in there, I have access to these files anywhere that I go, as well as because they're all being saved and synchronized into the cloud, they're backed up everywhere I go. Any works or edit that I make or changes that I do, automatically saved. And it also provides me with revision control. So as I'm editing these, not only is it saving them, but I can go back and look at previous versions should I ever need them. Beyond being able to save files and folder structure within teams, in these same teams, we're able to communicate with our fellow peers and staff members, people that we're working with. We can do one-on-one chat. We can do multiple people in small groups, or we can send out messaging directly in Teams to entire departments. We can do this we can also, beyond the chat, we have audio and video calling functions built within Microsoft Teams for our communication needs. We can also invite external users as guests to be part of a team. And we can facilitate or attend audio meetings, conferencing by sending out Outlook invites and embedding links to Microsoft Teams meetings. And then once we're within these meetings, we are then also able to record the meeting, or if we wanted to share documents within that meeting as well. In order to do an example, as I said there, of the one-on-one chat, if I have my Microsoft Teams open and this is the communication portion that people are looking for, how do I maintain communication with my team and members? I can create one-on-one chat simply by, on the top there, clicking on the new chat, entering in a person's name within our company, and then typing in the message that I would like to send over to them. And this then creates a new chat channel on the left that is kept there unless I want to remove it. So in this example, I just wanted to communicate with Paramin, send over a message. I didn't already have a chat channel created. I click new, type in his name in the message, and he gets that in the pop-up. And in the activity window, it shows up for him. If I wanted to communicate with more than one person, I do it very similarly. I click new. I then select the people that I would like to chat with in a group, selecting more than one person, and then typing in the message that I want. This creates a chat channel between myself and those two people, and I can rename this chat channel if I wish, and I send over the message that I want. And I'm now able to communicate back and forth with people, chat multiple people via Teams. And I also have the ability to communicate and send out these send chat messages via a department or a team. So again, Microsoft in Teams, we're going to call them teams. I'll simplify it to say here, by example, is a department where I want to be able to send out messages or a message out to a specific department and have a collective number of people see that, hear it, and have the opportunity to respond, whether it's an open message asking a question, does anybody know this? Or is it something specific to that department? And that is very similar as well, except other than creating a new chat, what I would do is, in this example, I'm going to the sales team. I go to Teams, select sales, and then I start typing in my message. Everybody within that team is going to see this message. Everybody within that department. So now, if you also notice here, not only do I have messages in this department chat, but we also have files. And in these chat, we can drag and drop files into Microsoft Teams chats. In this example here, I just took an Excel sheet out of Windows Explorer, dragged and dropped it into a chat, type out my message, and as the example here, here's something new, here's a new sales sheet template that I want people to be using, etc., or somebody to look over it. So we are able to chat with people, send files, look at them, and collaborate as well through this. And communicating within Microsoft Teams, here's an example of my list of Teams chat channels that I have, and I've got them via individual, via groups, and via group chats. And we can have these globally as well, meaning that I could create one that has multiple people in it that we want to have a common communication thread, and then say an all persons notice, etc. And we're able to send out that message and have everybody within that team see it. And again, within these chat channels, if we wanted to, we can drag and drop files. This is an example of the direct messaging. And another way to do it in these, in the top right, you would have seen these video and calling links that are available. We can use these rather than chatting to start either calls or video messaging with team members. And it's really as simple as clicking on the video and in the top right, adding people in. If I was in a message specific to a person, I could, if I clicked on the video forum, it would contact them direct. If I was in a team, like the example I was there, is the people that are in that team, I now can select, hey, who do I want to communicate, or do I want to bring multiple people into that video chat, or not chat, but the video conference meeting with me, and I can invite them in. Once I'm in there, I can decide whether or not I want to show my video, whether I want to show myself, or whether I want to hide, whether I want to mute during the conversation or not, whether that, for whatever reason that is. I also have the ability to share my desktop or share an application. If I have something open and we're having a conference and I want to show somebody something quick, I can click that, select the application that I have open, drag it into the window to show them, hey, this is what I'm actually talking about. So picture's worth 1,000 words. We have some advanced functionality such as, hey, I want to record the meeting, or if I want to blur my background for the background that you see people have, or access my keyboard. And we also, within any of these meetings, you have the ability to type chat on the side. So if somebody is talking and you have 5 or 6 people in there and somebody wants to poke up a question or chat out to somebody, you can put the message through that. And of course, at the end of it, we have the ability to end the call or end the video conference. It's as simple as pressing the button to end. And through that, using that Microsoft Teams interface, what we've seen is that we can access files, access file shares, share files with team members. If we put these files and folders in there and organize them by whatever organizing method we want, whether it's by department, etc., we can replace file server shares by putting things into Teams, and then we have access to everything everywhere. We can use chat for the communication methods. We can chat with people. We can do meetings. We can do calls directly with anybody within our organization. And within those calls and communications, we have more advanced functionality such as sharing of screens, recording it, etc. And there are so many resources available to get more information specifically on how these actually work. It's as simple as Microsoft publishes out many videos and training videos, and third parties do it as well. What I would say is, rather than, if you want to take a print screen of that or come back to this later, you certainly can, but it really is as simple as, in a Google search, type in Microsoft Teams training, go past the ads into the very first link on support.office.com, where it's Microsoft Video Teams training. And from it there, Microsoft has posted numerous quick, free tutorials on specific subjects. They're usually about 1 minute to 4 minutes in length. They're designed to be very quick and give information. So if you're looking for more information specifically on the day-to-day practical use or use case, these are going to provide you with tons of more information. It's just a matter of going through them. And Microsoft wants us to start thinking of this, not, I guess, in Teams, channels, and chat, where Teams are a collaboration space for people who work closely together. So when we're talking with our IT people, and when we're talking with IT experts, some of the concepts that they're going to be using and some of what it is that they're going to be explaining, they're going to be using these terms. They're going to be saying teams require channels. Channels are within a team can be open or they can be private. They can be sent out to public, meaning that we're sharing them with external members, or we can make them private within our own team. These are the concepts that you're going to hear when you're talking with your IT person. They're going to be using these types of terms, and for chat, they're going to say we can use private conversations, invite specific people, we can lock these down, and chats can be named with specific subject matter. When you're talking with your IT people, it's going to be helpful to remember that they're going to try to use this terminology of organization. It's a team and channels below it and sites. And when doing that, Microsoft uses these types of scenarios for use cases for Microsoft Teams. Whether you're in customer support or engineering, marketing, or sales, these are generally speaking grouped by department, and then the use cases for each one of those. They have documentation and use case for each one of these. So if you're worried or thinking about it specific to your job function, we can get information on those. And they will provide out examples of teams and channels as well. If you're not going to be using it just by department, if you wanted to do it conceptually, hey, what if I had a project or a job such as collaboration and services or a service support group? How would we potentially do those? Microsoft provides examples of those as well, that when you're talking with your IT people about designing what it is that you want to do, they can help you and they can walk you through these scenarios and find the best fit for the exact example that you are looking for versus just general terms. And that's if you want to get it into it more specifically versus just the collaboration and communication piece. And when they start to get into it, they're going to, designers are going to be looking at it in the pyramid structure of your organization at the top, then the team, and then the channels below. That's how Microsoft Teams is designed to be used. And that's the concept when you're talking with your IT people that they're going to be kind of referring back to, and that you should be thinking in your mind when you're trying to relate back to, hey, what are all these technical things that they're talking about? Let's get back to what is the organizational structure that they're really talking about here. But the bottom line is going to be, for us here, is that Microsoft Teams is a collaboration and communication tool, where what we want to do is implement Teams, create a team where we're able to then start chat, share documents, have productive meetings, and have our team have one location to be able to go back to look at documents and look at communications that we've had, whether they were about customers, about the department specific itself, and have this all in one physical area or one area, logical area that everybody is working from, so that you're not looking in 3 or 4 or 5 different areas for this type of stuff. I am asked, it really is a common set of questions that I get asked about Microsoft Teams. So I'm going to break them into these areas. And I'm often asked here, so if I wanted to do something with Microsoft Teams, how fast, how easy is it, or how difficult is it to deploy something like this? I would say that if you're looking to deploy it as a communication tool, it is very rapid. It is really as simple as adding the licensing, deploying the software, and users can start using it. Immediately, they're able to start communicating, chatting, doing video conferencing internally and externally with everybody right away. Very simple stuff. It's when you want to get into the deployment of file shares that's where it becomes a little more difficult. And really, it's not a difficulty. What it is I've yet to find somebody who says that the file shares that they have on their server are organized in such a fantastic way that they want to move it in kind to Teams. That's usually not the case. Usually they want to take the opportunity to try to redesign and restructure what it is that they want to do and how they want to do it via department or via business unit or things like that. And while I can tell you that ingesting the information and files from an on-premise file server into Teams is fairly rapid, it's the going forward work and the design of where you want to save your files and how you want to, that's the magic. And that's the thing that can take a few weeks, because it really depends on getting your department's heads and decision makers together to agree on what it is that they want to do. And while they're at it, you have to determine what is the security, what is the folder security, what is the user accessibility that you want to do. This is where your IT people are definitely going to be able to guide you through that. But it's also, there is logic to it. And what you can never forget to do is, in that security, I strongly recommend do not implement Microsoft Teams or Office 365 without turning on two-factor authentication. I would strongly suggest you get something like that implemented first, and have your employees educated on just common IT security practices and warning them of scams. And hey, just be aware, because like everywhere, we're all under attack by this sort of a thing, and we want to put every we want to stack the cards in our favor as much as we can. And for the support of it, you can have a top level administrators by department who can manage their own departmental teams, absolutely. But then they always want to have somebody that they're going to be relying back upon as their expert in Microsoft Teams. And whether that's your internal IT support or whether that's a third party or an external consultant like Lynetco, you're going to be able to get support from them to help you design and help you manage what it is that you need to do within Microsoft Teams. And adding users, increasing space, dialing it up, dialing it down, it doesn't get any easier. Microsoft Teams is in the cloud. I mean, that's the whole point, is the rapid ability to put all of this out there and to scale it up and scale it down on demand. And because it's cloud-based and because it's Microsoft hosted, it's put in enterprise infrastructure. Again, 258 million users, et cetera. This is built on infrastructure that is enterprise and world-class. You should be able to count on the uptime on this sort of a tool. The one item that I would definitely suggest is speak to your IT person about a third-party backup solution, whether it's for compliancy requirements or whether it's for just making sure and hedging your bets against internal IT administrative mistakes where somebody deletes a user or a site that's unrecoverable afterwards. If you have a third-party backup tool, which are very common and they're not very expensive at all, that'll help you going forward should there be an issue. The other area that I get asked all the time is pricing. What does it cost to do something like this? What does Microsoft Teams cost? We all know that Microsoft makes licensing, I guess it's a little bit difficult to navigate through sometimes, and this is why you should be relying on your IT support member, whoever your IT expert is there. I'm going to assume that most of you, or many of you, already have Microsoft 365 for email, formerly Office 365 for email hosting. So you're used to either A, paying something already, where you may be doing email only, which is $5.10, or you might be doing it with Business Premium, where you're paying $16 and it comes with software licensing. So how do you find out what to add Teams is, or what does Teams cost, period? What I'd say is just do the quick Google search and type in Microsoft 365 Canada pricing. Microsoft 365 Canada pricing. Should come right up. You'll be able to click on it. There it is with the new naming convention, Microsoft 365. And these are the top examples that are going to come out there. $6.40, $16 and $25, whether it's Business Basic, Business Standard, Business Premium. All of these solutions come with Microsoft Teams for their communication and collaboration. And I would also suggest that you look for Microsoft Canada Advanced Threat Protection Pricing. This is often commonly called ATP, but it's Microsoft Canada Advanced Threat Protection Pricing. That is not included in either of or any of those solutions until you start getting up into the $25 plus versions. This is an add-on. And while I talked about making sure you have two-factor authentication turned on, I touched upon, hey, get a third-party backup. I can't stress enough as well, really consider adding on this option at $2.60 per user in 365, and that applies to Microsoft Teams, and it'll add in Microsoft security components for both email and for Teams, for safe links for email, safe links for attachments. It'll work in email, OneDrive, Microsoft Teams. It's the anti-phishing component. So, I mean, overall here, you could really get started at the bare minimum with the $6.40 per user, and there would be your Microsoft Teams, and you'd have your licensing going right away. If you add another $2.60, you get their advanced threat protection in there as well. Simple and easy. And so we're hitting into that 30-minute mark, which I'd hope to keep this to approximately, and I'm glad that it's really hitting into that area. Recap here, earlier we talked about hosted Sage 300. So how do I enable my modern workforce? And what does that mean? How do I get people to be able to work from anywhere? It doesn't matter if it's in the office, out of the office. Hey, look for hosted Sage 300. Use a product for cloud collaboration for file shares, such as Microsoft Teams. You can use it for video conferencing, chat, and email as well. You get people laptops. Don't forget the security, two-factor authentication and things, and suddenly, there you go. You're gonna have a modern workforce and a work from home enabled workforce that should be able to really, work from anywhere. And that is the goal. And I understand this is all high level stuff without a terrible deep dive into the Microsoft Teams. It's just 30 minutes on it. If you've got additional questions, if you've got anything that you would, feel that you would like to reach out, please do not hesitate. Email into advisors@baass.com. You can go to www.baass.com, contact us. You can email me, jsmith@lineco.ca, Jamie Smith. And in any one of those methods, we'll be able to and happy to answer your questions if we can. All right. I thank everybody who's joined us here today. I'm going to see, I thank everybody who's joined us here today. I hope everybody stays safe. With that, I'm going to pass this back to Remington. And that'll conclude this session, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. So I'd like to thank everyone again for taking the time out of their busy days to attend, as well as you, Jamie, for presenting today. Everyone who has registered will be receiving a recording of the webinar once it's available via email, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their Friday as well as their long weekends.